All right, let's talk about it. Squid Game Season 2, spoiler free edition. Let's talk about it now. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a Movie Emporium Netflix TV review of Squid Game Season 2. This is a spoiler free discussion of the second season of the show. Okay, everyone, there will be spoilers for Season 1, just to let you know, but Season 2 will not have any spoilers. It might have slight spoilers just on the characters in the show, but it won't go into major details. So Squid Game Season 1 was a phenomenon. It was probably one of Netflix's biggest shows in history. Is now worldwide popular. People are anticipating it. And it took me a little while to get into the show because I'm one of those people, I just want to wait to see how shows get reacted and stuff like that. So when I heard Squid Game Season 1 was fantastic, I went back and watched it. And of course, it was deranged. It was crazy, but it was amazing. It had great dramatic performances from, Lee Jung-jae and, of course, Park Hae-soo and so on and so forth. The list went on and on. We had Ha-joon, Lee Byung-hun, who played the frontman and stuff like that. There was just a lot of great performances in that. Marbles episode was great. So the series was popular for a reason. It's a really fantastic, really kind of meta narrative about how the rich eat the poor and how people of certain ilk will abuse certain situations and how we get ourselves into these situations and stuff like that. But it was also hyper violent. It was crazy. So now we have Season 2, and Season 2 is the continuation of Season 1, but takes place a couple years later. Gyu-young is, of course, as won the Squid Game this season that he was in, and he is now looking for the man that put him into this scenario. Well, in the process of everything, we start learning about different characters, unlike the first season, where we start learning about some of the characters that will eventually play into the Squid Game itself in the new iteration that's coming out. And so, as you can tell from the trailer, not to spoil too much, we get the cast of characters. Lee Jung-jae's character finds himself back into the Squid Game itself, and we have a new cast of interesting, kind of fascinating characters on top of what Lee Jung-jae's character is doing, which is trying to stop the games itself from ever happening because, of course, the rich eat the poor type of scenario. Well, as things play out, we meet characters that are like a mother and son. We meet, of course, a woman who's pregnant, which is really interesting. We, of course, get a rapper in this one, which is also fascinating, who uses a lot of drugs. We have a bunch of other characters that, get rounded to the mix. We have a transgender character, which is really fascinating. And it's about, once again, this scenario that people find themselves in where they're out of their element and they don't realize the story they're getting into. But now we have Ji-yeon, who's been in this scenario, but the story and the games might have changed. And then on top of that, Ha-joon, who plays Hwang Jo-ho, is now looking for this island. He's now trying to find it. It's not a spoiler, he's in the trailer, but as we see, he's trying to find this island to take it down as well because of what happened, as we learned, with his brother, who's the front man and stuff like that. And the front man comes into this in a really interesting way. And so the season takes some really interesting turns, takes some unexpected turns, but is a second season to a show. So there you go. So I've been really looking forward to this. I really love Season 1 of course, Squid Game. I thought it was really fascinating. I thought it was really dark. I love the hyper violence. I love the nature of how people are played in this show. I like the fact that Hwang Dong-hyuk can't rely on his laurels. He has to find new ways and new creative, inventive ways to do a second season, but he's also going to find new people to bring back because everyone's dead. Everyone but Jung-jae is back, is dead from this series. So what do you do in that scenario? You have to reinvent the wheel while bringing some of the really interesting narratives of the Squid Game series. So it's a really kind of difficult task to balance into a second season, and you have to make sure you go places that expand upon the lore, that bring in characters that were kind of introduced, and how do you expand upon them. And it's a really difficult task, but I feel like that this series' first season had a lot of potential to lead into some really interesting narratives into the second season. So now that we have this second season, now that it's released, all 7 episodes are out, which is kind of surprising. I figured there'd be at least one more episode. I will say, for my honest review of the second season, once again, not to spoil anything, it's another fantastic season. It's another interesting season. I don't think now that we're kind of used to the hyper violence and the ultra kills, I don't think they're as effective in this season. But I think what Dong-hyuk is done in this season has ramped up the dramatic attention, ramped up the character dimensions, allowed characters to have different personalities. Once again, we have a transgender character. We have someone who's pregnant who's playing the Squid Game. We have the detective who's given a much more interesting kind of character arc, who's kind of find the island. Now that Jung-jae, the Gyu-young character, is now kind of aware of what's going on, bringing him into the mix, kind of putting him into place of course, the Squid Game itself is really interesting. And then they introduce this new thing where these characters can, when they vote, they can vote, and if the majority wants to leave, they take the money of what's there, what's available to them, which is really fascinating. And I just think the dynamic of what Dong-hyuk is doing in this season is a really unique take. It actually goes places you don't expect. It actually does things at the end of the season that makes you can't wait for the third season. And I think the overall narrative and what they do with the frontman, the fact that we know he's his brother, and how they play him into this season, and how Gyu-young and how he plays in the season, and how we introduce new characters who have a live dimension to them and feel very human and very realistic, and how the characters play off on other characters, and how they use other characters to do this, and how characters form friendships and relationships, and how people of different ilk can work with different people. This just expands. It makes it even better. It makes the show even more worthwhile to watch, because the more that the lore is expanded, the more you see behind the scenes, the more you see how the characters are played out, the more you see of this world, the more you realize how kind of insane and how dark and how brutal it really is, and how these characters are just put into scenarios that they don't find themselves. It's like when you loan money to someone, or you borrow money and you get yourself in a predicament, you try to find the easy way out. And that's what this series has always done, is have these people trying to find the easy way out. But as they say, the people that are running the Squid Game are seeing these people as horses, or seeing these people as trash on the street, as they say, as the main guy, the old man, the first season. It's like trash. They like trash on the street. And I really appreciate that. I love the fact that this story, it takes itself and takes a chance and actually, goes in a predictable situation in the beginning, and then takes its time on like getting to the Squid Game, and it actually allows the Squid Game to be more of a back end product than the front end product like the first season. And when they go the routes that they go in this second season, it's a really fascinating arc and how it portrays itself, and how these characters, operate and how they work. And, I really like the the rapper who's called Thanos, which is pretty funny. He's a very kind of disturbed character, somebody who's like a really religious character. I love the fact that, the transgender character is really fascinating, has some really dimensional work to him. And then the mother and son have a really interesting arc. And like I said, the pregnant woman, there's just some really interesting things here. And I love the fact that because this is a bigger budgeted season, they can do a lot more with the season when it comes to the camera work, when it comes to the sets, redesigning things, and making, showing you how different ways the sets are working, shows you how like the mechanics of the system works, like how, in the first game, how that works, and how, people are killed and stuff like that. It's really, really fascinating. It's kind of glad they didn't release this on Christmas, to be honest, because it's a really dark show. But what I can say about this is, this season goes to unexpected places. It does unexpected things. It does remind me of the Hunger Games a little bit. I like how it goes in weird, interesting directions while keeping the reliability of what the first season did. So there is stuff in here that is very rememberable, and that you might want to go back and watch the first season, because it'll be like, oh yeah, that. You start seeing more and more the layers of what Dong-hyuk is doing. And I really appreciate that. So this second season is another winner. I cannot wait for the third season of this series. I know it will be the last one. I know it will be in 2025, so probably closer to the holidays again. For this first season, or I'm sorry, the second season, what it's doing, how it ends, how it leads into what will be the third season is fascinating. I like how the characters are used. I like how the frontman is used. I like how Jung is used. I like how the new characters are used. And I like the unpredictable nature of who ends up dying, how they end up dying, and the stakes that are portrayed in this season. So overall, I'll give this season a 9.5 out of 10. I think it's fantastic. I think it's worthy of the first. I think the first season is a little bit better when it comes to the way they shot like the games itself, but I think the second season is true honest winner for a continuation of Squid Game. So there you go. Anyways, with that said, that will be my take on, or at least the non-spoiler take of this season 2 of Squid Game, now on Netflix. I do appreciate you watching my review, but let me know in the comments below what your favorite moment of Squid Game 1 is. When you see Squid Game 2, try not to spoil it. If you do, I do apologize if you're reading the comments before watching the season. But let me know in the comments below what is your favorite moment of season 1. So there you go. Anyways, if you like what you see on this channel, awesome, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome, hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out, guys.